Once upon a time, nestled between the gentle slopes of green mountains, there was a small, quiet village. Life moved slowly there. The air was fresh, and the fields stretched out like a patchwork quilt. In this peaceful place lived a young man named Marco. At just 24, Marco should have been brimming with youthful energy and hope, but inside, his mind was a storm. Thoughts raced through his head day and night. Worries about what had already passed filled him with regret, while fears about what might come haunted his every moment. No matter how hard he tried, he couldn't quiet the noise inside him. Marco's restlessness showed in his tired eyes and the way his smile had faded. He wandered the village streets, lost in thought, unable to sleep well, and he often forgot even simple joys, like the sound of his own laughter. He longed for peace, but didn't know where to find it. He spoke to friends who offered comfort, but no real answers. He tried walking in the fields, listening to the river, but the storm in his mind followed him everywhere. One day, Marco overheard a group of travelers speaking about a wise old man who lived in a distant village higher up in the mountains. Long ago, they said, the man had been a famous psychologist in the city. He had helped many people find their way out of darkness, teaching them how to calm their minds and hearts. Now, in his old age, he had chosen to leave the noise and busyness of city life. He had settled in a tiny house surrounded by nature, where he lived simply and quietly. Sometimes, those in need would seek him out for guidance, and he would share his wisdom with those willing to listen. A sense of hope stirred in Marco for the first time in months. Maybe, he thought, this wise man could help him find the peace he had been searching for. Without waiting, Marco packed a small bag, said goodbye to his family, and set out on the long journey to the village in the hills. The road was not easy. Days passed as Marco climbed steep paths, crossed rushing streams, and walked through forests where the sunlight filtered down in golden patterns. He grew tired, but the hope in his heart kept him going. At last, Marco reached the quiet village. It was even smaller than his own, with just a handful of houses and gardens full of wildflowers. At the edge of the village, Marco found the old man's house. A simple cottage, nearly hidden by vines and blooming plants. On the porch, the old man sat in a wooden chair, his eyes closed, breathing in the mountain air. He looked peaceful, as if he carried no worries at all. Marco approached quietly and greeted him with respect. "Grandfather," Marco said softly, "my mind is so reckless. I cannot stop thinking. I feel lost in my own thoughts and worries. I want peace in my heart. Can you help me?" The old man slowly opened his eyes. There was a calm kindness in his gaze. He smiled and his voice was gentle as he replied, "So, you are looking for peace? Then come with me. I will give you a small task." He led Marco into his little yard, where flowers grew and birds sang softly. The old man took a glass and filled it with water, right up to the very brim. The water trembled, ready to spill over with even the smallest movement. He handed the glass to Marco and said, "Walk from here to the edge of the village and then return to me. But remember, you must not spill even a single drop of water." Marco was surprised by this strange request, but trusted the old man's wisdom. He took the glass, holding it carefully, and began to walk. The path was narrow and uneven, winding through the village. People bustled about, children played, shopkeepers called out, and dogs barked in the distance. But Marco could not look at any of them. His entire attention was on the glass in his hands. Every step was slow and careful. He watched the water, making sure it didn't ripple over the edge. As Marco walked, he heard nothing but the quiet sound of his own breath. He saw nothing but the clear surface of the water. He reached the edge of the village, turned and made his way back, never once looking up or letting his attention wander. When he returned to the old man, the glass was still as full as when he had started. The old man smiled. "Well done," he said. "Tell me, as you walked, did you see the children playing by the road? Did you hear the dogs barking or the shopkeepers calling to their customers?" Marco shook his head. "No, I didn't notice anything except the water in the glass. I was so focused on not spilling it." The old man nodded, his eyes twinkling. "That is the secret you have been searching for all this time. When your mind is focused on the present moment, there is no room for worries about the past or fears of the future. All your energy is right here, right now." For those few minutes, your mind was quiet. The storm of thoughts was gone. You were not sad or afraid. You were simply present. A light dawned in Marco's heart. He realized the truth in the old man's words. Peace was not something he needed to find outside himself. It was already there, waiting beneath the noise. Whenever he let go of regrets and worries and simply lived in the moment. Marco bowed his head with gratitude. "Grandfather, I understand now. If I want to calm my mind, I must bring my attention to this moment. That is when real peace comes." The old man smiled. The sun was setting, painting the mountains with golden light. Birds flew home to their nests, and the village grew quiet. Marco walked back down the mountain-lined path, feeling lighter than he had in a long time. He was not the same restless young man who had arrived. He carried with him a new wisdom, a simple secret to quiet the storm inside and find peace in every moment. And so, Marco's journey was not really about distance, but about finding his way home to himself. He learned that peace lives within, and that every step taken with awareness is a step toward calm. As the mountains watched over the village, Marco finally remembered how to smile.